Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Global Government News. This is the third and final part of this news blitz on July 24th, 2010. I just wanted to go back to this article because I've actually covered this plenty of times, and I started to get into it. This right here, I just wanted to finish up what they were saying here. It says the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer at a staggering rate. Once upon a time, the United States had the largest and most prosperous middle class in the history of the world, but now that is changing at a blinding pace. So why are we witnessing such fundamental changes? Well, the globalism and free trade that our politicians and business leaders insisted would be so good for us have had some rather nasty side effects. It turns out that they didn't tell us that the global economy would mean that middle-class American workers would eventually have to directly compete for jobs with people on the other side of the world where there's no minimum wage and very few regulations. Big global corporations have greatly benefited by exploiting third world labor pools over the last several decades, but middle-class Americans have increasingly found things to be very tough. And that's well said. They're exploiting free markets. There's nothing wrong with trading with other countries, but this globalism, outsourcing jobs and that, and having our tax dollars pay for jobs to be outsourced to other countries where the labor is cheaper, because the people over there aren't really all that free. That's just I call it global fascism. That's pretty much what it is. But let's just continue where we left off. It says a staggering 43% of Americans have less than 10 grand saved up for retirement. 24% of American workers say they have postponed their planned retirement age in the past year. Over 1.4 million Americans filed for personal bankruptcy in 2009, which represented a 32% increase over 2008. Only the top 5% of U.S. households have earned enough additional income to match the rise in housing costs since 1975. For the first time in U.S. history, banks own a greater share of the residential housing net worth in the United States than all individual Americans put together. That's an important statistic. In 1950, the ratio of the average executive's paycheck to the average worker's paycheck was about 30 to 1. Since the year 2000, that ratio has exploded to between 300 to 500 to 1. As of 2007, the bottom 80% of American households held about 7% of liquid financial assets. And it just keeps going. In America today, the average time needed to find a job has risen to a record 32 weeks. More than 40% of Americans who actually are employed are now working in service jobs, which are often very low paying. And this is what I've talked about the restructuring. Working more for less, America. Get used to that Wal-Mart phrase, get more for less. Well, that's exactly what they're doing. They're getting more money for less, and we work harder for less. Moving on to another article from the LA Times. This was titled "Senate Backs Troop Funding but Rejects Money for Domestic Programs." And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I just posted a video where I was saying, I was talking about the unemployment benefits, where somebody, a YouTuber, posted in the comment section of the comment board that, or try to correct me with saying that the jobless benefits or unemployment come from your paycheck, and that's true. But from my understanding, there's state and then there's federal unemployment, and I believe what was just signed was for the federal government either paying from a federal pool of funds, or it was forcing the states to extend the benefits. Somebody knows the exact details of that, please fill me in. But for the most part, I was saying that the politicians, which are nothing but more than criminals, do work for these corporations and these banks, and the banks and corporations own the government, so they're employees of them, and that's why they get such good severance packages for doing such a shitty job, and they get full medical coverage to the day they die. So with that said, they'll play games with people's unemployment benefits. One of the few things that, as far as government and socialism and welfare go, are not exactly the most productive thing to help the economy and help people get back on the feet, but it helps them keep food on the table. And the politicians like to do things like say, oh, well, it's we can't fit it in the budget, and austerity measures must be taken. And so instead of taking money from the defense, which is a good chunk, if not the majority of the spending that our tax dollars go towards defense and security and nation building, instead of pulling it from that, they like to play politics so that they can keep their phony, fraudulent wars going and expand their empire. But when it comes to the people that are trying to fund that, they pretty much play games with them, play mind games, play left and right with them. And this is just another example. It says the Senate on Thursday approved funds to pay for President Obama's Afghanistan troop increase, but refused to sign off on billions in extra non-military spending sought by the House of Representatives. The move sent the legislation funding the U.S. troops surge back to uncertain future in the House, where lawmakers in growing numbers are demanding a clear exit plan from Afghanistan. And so the Obama administration in February asked for $33 billion to pay for the 30,000 increase in troops for Afghanistan the president announced last December. And if you haven't heard of this news, well, here you go. Wal-Mart radio tags to track clothing. This was from the Wall Street Journal on July 23rd, 2010. I'll post a link. You might want to go check it out. I'm not going to go into great detail because I got more articles to cover. But yeah, they said they plan to roll out sophisticated electronic ID tags that will replace the RFID tag that they have had in there previously. Says to track individual pairs of jeans, and it raises privacy concerns as well. You might want to go in there and check that out, because whatever Walmart does, they basically set the precedent for other companies to follow. And I recommend you check out another video on Iran. From the Press TV, it says House okays possible Israeli raid on Iran, and the Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives had introduced a measure that would give the green light to a possible Israeli bombing campaign against Iran. We all know that they have the troops. They have troops over there in either Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan. I can't remember exactly which stand that was, but we do have troops there on the ground, and we had a flotilla of ships and Israeli warships and U.S. warships going towards the Gulf. Please check out that other video that I posted, House okays possible Israeli raid on Iran. And Iran responds by saying Iran armed forces fully prepared. So they're saying bring it. I recommend you check out this article, Why Clinton Cares So Much About an Asian Island Chain of Islands. There's been much dispute with China and between China and Korea over this area, the South China Sea. But the other big news besides Iran is North Korea. North Korea warns U.S. call off military exercises. North Korea on Thursday warned the United States that imposing fresh sanctions and holding military drills with South Korea this weekend will endanger the entire region and destroy hopes for a nuke-free Korean peninsula. This article, U.S. aircraft carrier ups pressure on North Korea. This is from today. Aboard USS George Washington, a massive nuclear-powered U.S. supercarrier began maneuvers Sunday with allies South Korea in a potent show of force that North Korea has threatened could lead to sacred. The military drill is codenamed Invincible Spirit and runs through Wednesday with about 8,000 U.S. and South Korean troops, 20 ships, submarines, and 200 aircraft. Bloomberg is reporting North Korea warns of nuclear response to naval exercise and said it would counter the U.S. and South Korea in a joint naval exercise with nuclear deterrence after the Obama administration said the government shouldn't take any provocative steps. In other news, Google probed for violating privacy. This is from yesterday, July 23rd. 37 states have joined the investigation of Google Incorporated over allegations that the internet giant unlawfully collected private data. And we already know that they collect data and store it into databases. They've openly admitted that, and I've documented that in other videos, so you might want to check it out and investigate the story further. The link is posted. Like all the other news articles that I've covered, the links are posted, so please check them out. This is an article actually from July 15th. Vaseline ad campaign sparks controversy over skin-whitening creams. I guess that's how the caste system works in India. Basically, the lighter you are, lighter skinned, the higher you are in the caste system. I guess you learn something new every day. And lastly, Lady Gaga performs yoga before performance. Thank you.